I get to a few conferences, and a few of them are better than others. This is one of them. And I just want to say compliments to everyone involved in making this happen. A lot of the themes are the same, but everything I heard yesterday was a little bit edgy, a little bit pushing the boundaries, an awareness that we need to move beyond the ordinary. I think that's great. So congratulations, everyone. Well done. I wanted to talk about beyond kilowatt hours, and so I'll try and move through this very quickly. It's an international perspective in energy efficiency. I've got a few questions here which I think could prime your thinking about this collaborative effort on energy efficiency, some research questions. So let's tear into this and see how we go. Starting with November last year when we released the WEO 2012. And so the WEO is the World Energy Outlook. We run quite a large energy supply demand economic model of the world. It's driven by economic and population growth and supply and demand, all those sort of things you'd expect. It's a regional model, so we have some regional data there as well. Every year we pick up a fuel. So we looked at gas the year before that. We had focused on Russia the year before that. And last year we said, let's look at energy efficiency. We call it the hidden fuel. That makes sense to everyone here, I'm sure. And let's have a good hard look at energy efficiency. I have to take my hat off to the modelers there because I think what they did to try and model energy efficiency dealt with a number of the challenges of doing that. So there's a little bit of innovation going on there. I think it's a good piece of work. And certainly the feedback that we get from about the 300 or so experts that we run this past said, you know, you're on the right direction here. So what do we know? The world is still not getting a shift to a more sustainable energy path in place. There's a lot of work to do. I guess every year we publish this work, the concern grows a little bit. You know, we're talking about lock-in for the last few years, and the lock-in's getting a bit more worrying. So we know that global demand will grow something like 30% to 2035, which is what the model runs to, in our new policy scenarios. The new policy scenario is sort of the baseline, what's already happening, plus the new policies we know that are coming into place. It's the stuff you'd expect to happen given what governments and the world is doing. So it's going to keep on growing, guys. I think we all knew that. Here's a number. We know that fossil fuel subsidies are in the order of about $500 billion a year across the world. Now, they tend to be bunched up around North Africa, Asia and countries like that, and yes, we understand the development needs and why they're there. But remember that number, $500 billion. We'll come back to that later on. Interesting, they increased 30% over the 2010 figure. These are direct fossil fuel subsidies. We're not talking about electricity subsidies here, and indirect subsidies. Okay, so the whole energy subsidy game is way bigger. It's probably bigger than $1 trillion, but very hard to measure. Long term, we think under these scenarios, there'll be a 3.6 degree temperature rise. Not the only reason why we're doing this, but at a global level, a very critical reason why we're doing energy efficiency. But the further modelling work says some big reversals are possible with energy efficiency. It's probably one of the biggest opportunities the world faces. New fuel efficiency measures, new domestic production could see US fuel independence. This is a really big headline, particularly if you're a US citizen or a member of the US government. And this was picked up. What the press didn't pick up, or the policy people did, was that a massive energy efficiency investment has to underpin this change. Right? See a couple of people nodding because they heard that. So some of the headlines get a little bit displaced. If we look at what happened in Japan post-Fukushima, their analysis of their energy futures, looking out sort of 30, 50 years, is saying something quite similar. Regardless of how much nuclear they end up in the generation base in Japan, something like 50% of the energy future has to be energy efficiency. Korea coming to a similar sort of analysis, similar decision as well. And so, you know, we're not alone in saying energy efficiency is probably one of the biggest change drivers in the world for the future of the world. So we developed another scenario. We called it the efficient world scenario. We looked around for a name and someone said that, and everyone said, hey, that's the right name. I think you know what it means. The world becomes way more efficient. If we look at what's going on right now, China has committed in its 12th five-year plan to a further 16% reduction in energy intensity to 2015. This is serious change in a really big economy. They almost got 20% in their last five-year program. This is massive change. US introduced new CAFE standards in 2012. They're putting US vehicle fuel efficiency on a similar trajectory to US and Japanese ones, but there's about a 10-year lag. Hey, I'm grateful for the change. I think this is big. This is a big change. The EU are looking at a 20% reduction of energy demand by 2020. They looked at their progress, said it's not enough, we need to do more, push through the EU directive. Again, significant changes happening. Japan are looking at 10% cut in electricity consumption by 2030. It's a country that uses electricity pretty carefully. This is an aggressive change again. Despite all this good stuff happening, only about something like 80% of buildings and 50% of energy efficiency is still untapped. We're still not drilling down into the true potential that exists. So we developed an efficient world scenario to sort of say, what happens if we implement all the energy efficiency measures that are possible, economically viable? Okay, that means something different in every country. We had to draw some lines around that at a global level and say, what would massive energy efficiency change in the world look like? Simply saying, let's remove the barriers and let the energy efficiency flow. First thing is we halve the growth in total primary energy demand to 2035. So instead of 30%, it's about 15%. Whoa, that's a lot more manageable. We lower oil demand by 30 million barrels per day. So this is Russia's oil output and Norway's. There's a bit of argy-bargy about, is Russia or Saudi Arabia the world's single largest producer of oil? It's one of them, okay? Yes, we need to spend money to get there. Yes, we need to make investments of about $11.8 trillion. Okay? Big number. But it's offset by the fuel cost savings. The really interesting bit of the analysis is we get a reorientation of the global economy to give us another 18 trillion of increased economic output by 2035. Do you get what's going on there? What the model is saying is that you do enough energy efficiency, you start to reorientate the way the world works a little bit around deriving value from energy. CO2 peaks in 2030 and starts to go down, 2020 starts to go down, and we get on a 3-degree path. Okay, it's not 2 degrees, but it's a hell of a lot better than 4 degrees. So some really interesting things happen with some significant energy efficiency. Remember I said, remember the $500 billion of fossil fuel subsidies? If you take $11 trillion, divide it over the 17 or 18 years that we have till 2035, you're getting in the order of $500 billion a year investment. This raises the whole question of, do you need a hell of a lot of more money to make this happen? Probably not. You need to refocus the money that's already going into energy systems, some of it in perverse ways, to do better, more sustainable outcomes, more energy efficiency outcomes. So this is looking not only big and attractive and a way of reorientating the world's economy, addressing some of the growth challenges we have, it's also looking like there might actually be some money around there that could fund this. We just need to focus it better. Okay, I'm trying to move faster. Energy efficiency policies don't actually deliver energy efficiency. What they do is enable markets and encourage markets to actually deliver the services and the products that give us improvements in energy efficiency. So, really important to start thinking about market capability, market size. I had really interesting presentations at the buildings session yesterday around what's going on in Australia, some really innovative tools, product services being developed. Fabulous. Do I have any sense that it's at a scale where it's going to transform the market for buildings energy efficiency in Australia? Not yet, but I think it's fabulous. It's great to see this happening. So the questions are, how ready are our markets to deliver the necessary energy efficiency services and products, the scale we need? What are the current investments in energy efficiency? We know that the world spends about $88 billion a year on new renewable energy. We can't yet put down a figure on energy efficiency investments across the world. We're starting to try to do that because we think it's really important to get a sense of, are markets up to this and what needs to happen to drive markets to produce this change. Do we have the right portfolio of energy efficiency investments? I might come back to that at question time. Someone asked me about that right portfolio. Are we targeting the right priorities? What are the medium-term projections for energy efficiency markets? The WEO analysis is out to 2035. That's far enough. Hopefully I'll be retired then. Any minister making decisions now won't be in power then. It's almost fairy tale land. You don't need to worry about that just because the model said it's possible. because it won't be your problem, or you won't be dealing with it then. But you will be dealing with the next 3, 4, 5 years. And we want to start talking about what needs to happen in those next 3, 4, 5 years. We still need to tell folk whether energy efficiency is an attractive investment or not. And the work we're trying to do here, we're trying to do it in investment language, Wall Street, the city in London, to talk about how would an investment portfolio manager look at energy efficiency as a market. We want to use that language. Okay, just as I was out here, ACEEE, Skip Leitner produced a report scaling the US energy efficiency market, something around $72 to $100 billion of direct investment. He applied some multipliers to that, and there's something around 600 billion of energy efficiency services and products out there. Great piece of analysis. Someone's trying to pin this really important thing down. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions how you do this. Hey, right now I'm happy someone's trying to do this. We're trying to do this at a global level. Germany, $50 billion a year going into largely building energy efficiency retrofits. There's a lot of leverage. The funding scheme is linked very closely to policies. This is the right sort of scale of what we need to see happening. It's challenging. We need it. We're starting a piece of work on the multiple benefits of energy efficiency. Do I have a pointer on this? Okay, I'll point. Energy savings and climate change mitigation are probably the two big political drivers of energy efficiency around the world. We identified 13 others. We have a group of 15 different outcomes that you get from energy efficiency. Included in there is health and well-being. If we insulate houses in cold countries, people are warmer, drier, more healthy. In some countries, the health benefits pay for the energy efficiency, not the energy savings. Hey, we're trying to make an economic case here. Let's look at a broader set of outcome possibilities. Improvement in asset values. Some interesting Australian research last year from your building industry said, hey, we're getting improved asset values, tenancy retention, and rentals from energy efficiency buildings. That's the sort of stuff we're trying to uncover here. Reduction in public budgets from reduced energy expenditure. We had a workshop in Paris a few weeks ago on looking at the macroeconomic impacts of energy efficiency and how you measure this. Very interesting workshop. I'm going to go straight to the next slide. We have a series of workshops on multiple benefits turning up this year. We did economic impacts in Paris in January. We have one on health and wellbeing in Copenhagen in April. We're looking at an industrial productivity and competitiveness workshop, possibly in Sydney. We're quite keen to do something in the bottom half of the world. We want to do something on energy provider and consumer benefits. The whole work we did around PEPD, the policies for energy provider delivery and energy efficiency, said there's big benefits for utilities. They have the critical managerial and technical capability to deliver a huge amount of energy efficiency. We need to do more work here. We want to work on asset valuation and fiscal impacts as well. We don't normally talk about these sort of outcome benefits when we talk about energy efficiency. Too long has it been locked in a technical paradigm. We need to break out of that. We'll hope to produce, I think it'll be a DVD, with a whole bunch of estimation methods, tools that people use to measure health benefits and things like that, as a way of giving people some sense of what are the better practices, and a guidebook on how you evaluate the multiple outcome benefits of energy efficiency. I'm conscious time's moving on. Key issue came up at this workshop we did, rebound. I think everyone here is sort of familiar with that. We got to a stage of agreement. This is driven by consumer reactions to an energy efficiency intervention. You insulate someone's house, they will change their behaviours. They will probably accept a high level of heating. They may take it entirely in energy bills. It depends on whether the house is heated. A whole bunch of social and cultural things go on there. But consumers are really just trying to maximise the utility that they get from a change to the energy efficiency of the systems they're living within. This is not hard to work out. They're shifting across a new indifference curve and working out where they get the best returns. This is quite logical consumer behaviour. If we insulated the roofs and floors and windows, whatever, your house tomorrow, you would all do this. Okay? They're rebounding some of those savings to an improved value outcome for them. So, should we be scared of rebound? Hell no. It is naive to ignore rebound, absolutely. It is naive also to use quite simple rebound factors in our analysis. We all have to do that right now because it's the best we have. The real issue is we need to start to measure the outcomes that happen when we do energy efficiency. How do consumers react to this? What sort of outcomes do they derive from the intervention? Rebound may be highly desirable. In developing countries, we're getting a story of 200% rebound. One case of 400% rebound. there's almost a tipping point thing going on. The energy efficiency goes in and it releases a whole new wave of energy consumption. But along with that is a huge development opportunity, a huge increase in wealth and welfare. So rebound might be a very good thing. Okay, last slide. I'm sorry, this took longer than I thought. I'm going to keep moving quickly. Energy efficiency can help us keep the door to 2 degrees open a bit longer. I think this is really important. Successive WEOs increasingly talk about lock-in. The 2 degrees limit is getting harder to get to, getting more expensive each year as the world delays getting progress on this. 80% of allowable emissions by 2035 are already locked in by existing coal-fired power plants, existing buildings, it's not just the power industry, buildings industry locked into carbon-intensive processes. We think the door closed around 2017. We can only consume about 1/3 of the fossil fuel reserves by 2050 if the world is to achieve a 2-degree goal. Something quite massive has to change if we want to get down to low temperature increases. The efficient world scenario postpones lock until about 2022. It buys us about 5 years of time. It's a massive increase in energy efficiency, but there's a lot of inertia in the lock-in that exists around the world. Effort and investment are urgently required. It's that simple. We need to understand what we're currently doing, which is why we're focused on a market report this year, and better account for the return on investment on the multiple outcomes of energy efficiency, which is why we're doing the multiple benefits work. I'm going to stop here because that's the last slide. I push the button, it doesn't go any further. Thank you very much. I welcome questions and argument about this. Thank you.